Right now, in the silence of your own attention, your body is recording a confession. It's logging every moment you chose the polite "I'm fine" over the messy truth. Every boundary you dissolved to keep someone else comfortable. Every scream you turned into a sigh. The chronic ache in your neck. The gut that flares without warning. The exhaustion that blankets your bones. These are not random malfunctions. They're the physical translation of a self you've been systematically burying. If you don't learn to interpret that translation, the silence you mistake for peace will continue to carve its signature into your cells. In the next half hour, I'm going to walk you, step by step, through the exact mechanism by which unspoken truth crystallizes into chronic illness, and what you must do to reclaim your biological vitality before your nervous system makes the decision permanently. Part 1: The vault beneath the skin. Imagine a repository not in the mind, but woven into the very fabric of your tissues. Not a cloud, not an abstract unconscious, but a somatic vault where every emotional fact too dangerous to voice gets encoded. Carl Jung named the rejected, disowned contents of our psyche the shadow. But he always insisted that the shadow didn't just lurk in dreams, it lived in the flesh. The body, for Jung, was the perceptible expression of the psyche, and modern neurobiology now demonstrates exactly how. When you override your deepest impulses, the impulse to shout, to flee, to say no, your autonomic nervous system doesn't just forget. It logs the event in real time. A held breath becomes a rib cage that never fully expands. A swallowed retort becomes chronic tension in the larynx. A withheld sob becomes a permanent tightness in the diaphragm. These are not metaphors. They are neuromuscular memory traces. Consider the biological ledger itself. Your hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the central stress machinery, is exquisitely sensitive to the gap between your inner truth and your outer performance. Every time you self-censor to preserve a social bond or protect an image, your brain signals a low-grade threat. The result is not a dramatic spike, but a persistent grinding elevation of cortisol. Over months and years, this chronic signal remodels gene expression through epigenetic tags, silencing genes that protect against inflammation, activating genes that promote cellular breakdown. The vault isn't just storing memories, it's actively reprogramming your biology. Your body is metabolizing silence into disease. But here's the detail most overlook. The body doesn't sicken randomly. It chooses. The emotional material you suppress selects a precise anatomical address. I've observed this pattern thousands of times. A man who constantly swallows his resentment toward his partner develops chronic gastritis, the acid literally eating at the container meant to hold what cannot be spoken. A woman who bears the emotional weight of an entire family carries it in her lumbar spine, the low back bracing under burdens that were never meant to be physical. The right hip often holds the terror of a new direction you won't take. The throat holds the career truth you won't speak. The jaw holds the rage you grind down every night. Each symptom is a geographic marker on a map of the silenced self. Before we move further, I want you to hold a question that will function as a compass for the rest of this journey. If your symptoms are indeed a physical language, what story do you suspect they are telling about you right now? Don't answer. Just let the question breathe. Keep it alive, because in the next section, we will examine how your nervous system acts as a living mirror, reflecting fractures you've been trained not to see. Part 2: The mirror in the nervous system. The nervous system is not a passive cable transmitting signals from brain to organ. It is a masterful interpreter, a real-time artist that takes the raw material of your inner conflicts and paints them across the canvas of your physiology. Jung, a physician by training before he became a depth psychologist, understood that psyche and soma were two aspects of a single reality, not separate realms. He wrote that the body is the visibility of the soul. Contemporary trauma research, especially polyvagal theory, validates this with startling precision. Your vagus nerve, the long, wandering conduit that links brain to heart, lungs, and gut functions, as a neuroceptive antenna. It scans the environment, and just as critically, it scans your inner world for signs of truth or falseness. When it detects that your external life contradicts your internal reality, it shifts out of a state of safety and into a state of vigilance. That shift colors everything: heart rate, digestion, immune function, even how your brain processes incoming information. Let's get concrete. Your enteric nervous system, the so-called second brain in your gut, contains more neurons than your spinal cord. When you live in a state of profound emotional conflict, longing for a life you won't permit yourself, resenting a person you profess to love, the gut receives contradictory commands. It's like stepping on the accelerator and brake simultaneously. Over time, the system fractures. You see it as irritable bowel syndrome, unexplained nausea, food sensitivities that vanish when you leave a toxic relationship. The gut is literally mirroring an internal split you refuse to acknowledge. The inflammation that accompanies these states is not merely physical. It's a chemical echo of the body crying the tears the eyes refuse to shed. Cytokines, the messenger molecules of the immune system, rise in direct proportion to loneliness, self-betrayal, and social threat. The body doesn't have a separate vocabulary for physical injury and existential injury. To your mitochondria, a broken heart and a broken bone can activate the same cascades. This leads us to a baffling question. Why would an organism, wired for survival, attack its own tissues instead of simply voicing the truth? The answer lies in our evolutionary and personal history. The infant human is completely dependent on attachment for survival. If a caregiver requires the child's silence, compliance, or emotional caretaking, the child will adapt not out of weakness, but out of biological necessity. The neural circuitry that prioritizes attachment over authenticity gets laid down early and deep. Decades later, as an adult, you still choose the persona, the social mask Jung described, because the ancient brain equates rejection with annihilation. The body, however, doesn't care about social contracts. It cares about integrity. So it protests, first with murmurs, a twitch, a transient pain, a digestive complaint, then with shouts, autoimmune flares, chronic fatigue syndromes, psychosomatic blindness or paralysis in extreme cases. The symptoms are not the enemy. They are your wholeness attempting to rupture the straitjacket of your false self. This reframing is critical because it shifts the entire approach. The real question isn't how do I annihilate this symptom, but rather, what truth would I be forced to own if this symptom suddenly evaporated? If your pain disappeared, what conversation would you have to have? What decision would you have to make? What part of your identity would dissolve? Hold that inquiry, because in the next part, we'll dissect exactly what your composed self is costing you at the deepest biological level. Part 3, the biological debt of the false self. Jung saw the persona as a necessary social adaptation, the mask we wear to function in the world. But he warned that when the mask fuses to the face, when we identify entirely with our social role, a lethal process begins. He called this a mana personality inflation, where the ego mistakes itself for the mask. The result, he observed, is always a compensatory collapse, often through the body. The nice one gets cancer, The strong one has a heart attack. The perfect one develops an inexplicable neurological disorder. This is not mystical punishment, it's the physics of psychic energy. What is repressed inward must eventually tear a hole in the soma. Let's trace the metabolic arithmetic. Maintaining a socially acceptable facade when your inner world is screaming requires massive top-down inhibition from the prefrontal cortex onto the limbic system. You're essentially running a continuous counterinsurgency operation inside your own nervous system. This consumes an enormous amount of adenosine triphosphate AP, the cellular energy currency. Your mitochondria, the power plants inside every cell, are forced to divert energy from repair, regeneration, and immune surveillance toward the act of suppression. The chronic fatigue you feel isn't a mystery. It's the exhaustion of running a full-time theater production inside your own skin. Brain fog is the cognitive cost of constantly monitoring your performance. Slow wound healing and recurrent infections are the immunological cost of a body starved of repair resources, because all power is routed to the mask. Consider a specific and well-documented example: the Type D personality, characterized by social inhibition and negative affect that is kept hidden. Decades of research link this personality structure directly to elevated cardiovascular risk. The silence literally becomes arterial plaque. Arrhythmia, a heart that is slowly suffocating under the weight of unexpressed emotional reality. Jung's dictum, "I'd rather be whole than good," is not a philosophical preference, it's a biological prescription. Wholeness means making room for the shadow, the disowned anger, the unacceptable need, the wild longing you were taught to despise. When you refuse these parts a seat at the table, they don't evaporate. They go underground and orchestrate a rebellion from the somatic unconscious. A panic attack is often the shadow's overdue knock. An autoimmune flare is the immune system's confusion attack on a self that has become so divided it no longer recognizes friend from foe. This is why shadow integration is not an elective indulgence for the spiritually curious. It's a physiological necessity. In the next part, I'm going to give you a precise, step-by-step method for listening to the body's shadow language and translating it back into the emotional truths it encoded. But first, you must internalize a premise that the persona will violently resist. Your chronic illness might be the most honest statement you are making. It is your biology's way of telling the story your mouth has been forbidden to speak. Are you ready to hear it? Because we're about to descend into the vault. Part 4, the practice of somatic decoding. Moving from theory into direct, actionable practice, we must now confront the central obstacle. The shadow, by its very nature, is unconscious. How do you dialogue with something that hides from awareness? The bridge is the somatic marker, the physical sensation that acts as the shadow's fingerprint in the body. Your task is to become fluent in the grammar of these sensations. I want you to pause the video for a moment. Actually pause. Close your eyes and conduct a slow internal scan from the crown of your head down to the soles of your feet. Locate the place that feels tight, heavy, numb, or simply off right now. It might be a knot between your shoulder blades, a clenching in your jaw, a hollowness in your chest, a coldness in your hands. That precise location is not random. It's a node in your personal map of silence. When you find it, you're touching the edge of a suppressed narrative. Tissues hold memory, and that memory has a message. Now, a technique that bridges Jung's active imagination with contemporary somatic experiencing. Place your hand gently on that spot. Breathe into it as if you're trying to inflate a soft balloon behind the tension. Then, without censorship, Silently ask the tension a direct question. What emotion lives here? Or what do you need me to know? The very first word, image, fragment of memory, or physical impulse that surfaces no matter how trivial, bizarre, or unacceptable, is data from the shadow. It might be grief. It might be a flash of a childhood moment when you learned your needs were a burden. It might be the word rage followed immediately by a surge of guilt as the persona tries to shut it down. Do not judge. Do not analyze. Just witness. The persona will immediately attempt to dismiss the information. That's silly. I'm over that. It wasn't that bad. The shadow speaks in raw truth, and the body trusts the shadow. Your job is to be the neutral, curious observer. Jung's method of active imagination involved dialoguing with inner figures. You can adapt this directly for physical symptoms. Imagine the chronic pain or constriction as a character seated across from you. Give it a form, a color, a texture, a voice. Then ask it 3 questions, slowly, leaving space for an answer each time. Why are you here? What are you trying to protect me from? What would you need in order to soften? I've witnessed remarkable results from this practice. One man with chronic shoulder tension discovered, through such a dialogue, that the tension represented holding up the sky for a family that had made him the de facto hero. The moment he acknowledged the unfairness of that burden, and in his imagination, placed the sky back on the family's collective shoulders, the physical release was immediate and measurable. The body let go because the conscious self finally accepted the truth the body had been carrying. This is not just psychological catharsis. There's a measurable physiological shift. When a long-suppressed truth is consciously acknowledged and honored, the neuroendocrine system recalibrates. Cortisol drops, sometimes dramatically. Heart rate variability increases, signaling a shift from sympathetic fight or flight to parasympathetic restoration. The cell danger response, a metabolic state in which mitochondria shut down energy production in response to a perceived existential threat, can reverse. You are literally telling your trillions of cells that it's safe to function again. The signal is not forced relaxation. The signal is inner congruence. The truth, once named, ceases to require somatic screaming. But a crucial nuance here that often goes unaddressed. People fear that acknowledging the truth will force them to immediately blow up their life, leave the marriage, quit the job, confront the abuser. And that fear keeps the truth locked in the vault. Here's what I've learned from clinical observation. The body responds to internal recognition, not necessarily immediate external action. You can say to yourself, I am deeply angry at my father, and I'm not ready to tell him. But I see this anger, I honor it, and I give it space inside me. That internal witnessing alone changes the neuroendocrine landscape. It halts the poisoning. The body finally has an ally in the conscious mind, and that is often enough to begin the healing. External action can follow, slowly, wisely, but the biological release begins with inner acknowledgement. Don't let the fear of external consequences keep you from the internal medicine. Part 5, Individuation. As biological medicine, we arrive at the core of Jung's lifework, individuation. Most people misunderstand this term as mere self-actualization or career success. It's far deeper. Individuation means becoming an undivided whole. It's the progressive integration of the conscious self with the shadow, the anima or animus, and all the fragmented, disowned parts that were split off during childhood and social adaptation. From a somatic perspective, individuation is the ultimate biological medicine. When the inner civil war ceases, the body's allostasis, its capacity to maintain balance amidst change, spontaneously restores itself. Resources that were previously consumed by repression are liberated for repair, creativity, and genuine connection. This isn't a metaphor. It's a measurable physiological reorganization. Consider the evidence. A pivotal 2023 study published in Brain, Behavior, and Immunity tracked participants undergoing intensive therapy aimed at emotional expression and self-concept integration. Beyond psychological improvements, researchers documented a significant increase in telomere length, the protective caps on chromosomes that directly index biological aging. Their bodies literally reversed an aspect of aging at the cellular level. When you stop betraying your deepest self, your cells stop aging faster than they must. Jung described the transcendent function, the alchemical process by which holding the tension of opposites generates a new, more integrated state of consciousness. That very function has a biological correlate. The resolution of inner conflict leads directly to resolution of physiological conflict. Peace in the psyche registers as peace in the soma. So how do you sustain this beyond a single moment of insight? You build a daily practice of somatic truth-telling. Several times a day, pause and conduct a microscan. In the middle of a conversation, notice your posture. If your shoulders are creeping toward your ears, ask internally, what am I not saying? What is constricting? You don't have to speak it aloud. The simple act of naming I'm holding back irritation with this person right now sends a powerful signal of safety to the nervous system. Each micro moment of recognition strengthens the neural circuitry of integration and weakens the circuitry of dissociation. Over weeks, the baseline state of your body shifts from threat vigilance to self-trust. You can also establish a regular ritual of dialogue with the somatic unconscious. Each morning, sit for 5 minutes with a hand on your belly. Ask, what truth am I carrying today that needs to be acknowledged? Then write, stream of consciousness without editing. Let the body speak through the pen. You might also incorporate movement, not exercise, but intuitive motion like shaking, stretching, or spontaneous dance to physically discharge stored activation. When an old symptom flares, instead of panicking, treat it as a teacher. Ah, this headache. What boundary did I let slide yesterday? This gut spasm. What am I afraid to digest emotionally? The symptom transforms from terrifying intruder to loyal messenger. The path demands courage. Jung wrote that the first half of life is for forming a healthy ego, the second half for going inward and letting go of it. If you're watching this, your body has likely already pushed you into that second half. The gift hidden inside your illness is that it shatters the illusion that the persona can save you. It forces you to descend into the shadow of silence, and, in that descent, offers you the chance to become genuinely alive, not just symptom-free, but integrated, where your biology and your biography tell one coherent story. Here's my final invitation, not to click a button, but to begin a practice tonight. When you lie in bed, place one hand on your heart and one on your belly. In the silence, say quietly to yourself, I am willing to hear the truth my body has been telling. Then listen. No demands, no expectations, just attend. If you do this for 7 days, you will notice shifts, a softening in the chest, a memory surfacing, a dream that feels unusually significant. That is your shadow beginning to speak openly instead of through symptoms. Once that door opens, you have set in motion a healing deeper than any supplement or protocol. The silence has reigned long enough. Break the spell through the simple, radical act of listening. Your body knows the way. It has been speaking all along.